Welcome, friends, to another exciting episode of A VGM Journey, and I'm your host, The Messenger. The track that we're playing into today's show is TV World from the game Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4, and that was composed by Toby Fox. Got a real fun show for you guys, like always, and I say let's kick things off with a request from producer of the show, Carly, and she wanted me to play the track Main Menu from the game Pokémon Art Academy, and that was composed by Masaru Tajima. That track that you just heard, that was Main Menu from the game Pokemon Art Academy, and it was composed by Masaru Tajima. Now, I will admit that I don't really know too much about Pokemon Art Academy, other than that the music sounds really nice, and that Carly has been playing it quite a bit as of late, and she recently told me that's how she got into drawing, or at least helped her get a lot better at drawing, since the game would give her lessons on shading and dealing with shapes, and that it uses the touchscreen on the 3DS for the actual drawing parts, but on the top screen it would just show a picture of a random Pokemon, so you can use that as a reference when you're making your drawings. Except she doesn't draw Pokemon, she likes to make her own drawings. Most of the time it's a lot of food, but sometimes it would be characters from something else. And this song has a nice, warm, cozy vibe to it, where I think for me, I would rather just sit back by a warm fireplace, have a nice chair, and just get bundled up during the real cold winter times. But I guess this is also fun for drawing as well. I don't want to lull you guys into a sleep, so I think I want to bring a little bit of energy to this show with this next track, or I would say tracks, because this is another Then and Now, a segment where I play an old track, then I follow that up with an arrangement from a later game, and I think this one's a really good one. I'm going to be focusing on Vegetable Valley from Kirby's Adventure, and its arrangement from Kirby Air Riders. The track was originally composed by Hirokazu Ando, and that the arrangement was done by Noriyuki Iwadare, Shogo Sakai, and Akira Miyagawa. those tracks that you just heard, they were Vegetable Valley and, well, Vegetable Valley from both Kirby's Adventure and Kirby Air Riders. It was originally composed by Hirokazu Ando, and the arrangement was done by Noriyuki Iwadare, Shogo Sakai, and Akira Miyagawa. Vegetable Valley is such a good track. In the context of Kirby's Adventure, it is the first level theme in the game, where it starts off with a lot of energy. You're off on a big adventure, but it's also not very intimidating since, well, it's the first level. So you get a really nice blend with that track. And I don't know if I've ever said this before, but I'm actually a really huge fan of the game. I think Kirby's Adventure is one of the best games on the NES. And I guess it helped that it was a very late era NES game, as it came out in 93, which at that point the Super Nintendo was already out for a couple years. And that on top of being a really good game, it was backed by a really strong soundtrack. And I think with its arrangement on Kirby Air Riders, I just like that it's just a pretty straightforward arrangement. It doesn't really go in a crazy direction. And that pretty much it was just, hey, let's take this really awesome 8-bit track and just have a bit of orchestration to it. And that the strings, I just think the strings are really nice. And I still get the same vibe of starting off in an adventure, but it's not super intimidating. And as for Kirby Air Riders, the game itself, I loved Kirby Air Ride, and Kirby Air Riders is more of a really good thing. And that it is also backed by a really strong soundtrack. I think a lot of the arrangements are really good, and that a lot of the original tracks are also really good. And I know that a couple other podcasts, they've done focuses on Kirby Air Riders, and they'll pretty much say the same thing, that it's got a really strong soundtrack, very bombastic, very high energy stuff. I guess we're going to keep the train rolling on stuff that I really like, and that I'm going to go with this track from, as of right now, at the time of recording, an unreleased game, but only because the game doesn't come out for another few days at this point. But this is coming from Yakuza Kiwami 3. The track is Fly, and that it was originally composed by Hidenori Shoji, and this arrangement was done by Unknown. That track that you just heard, that was Fly from the game Yakuza Kiwami 3. It was originally composed by Hidenori Shoji, and that this arrangement was done by Unknown. I probably should have waited to play this track until the composer information came out. So at the time of recording, the game is not out yet, but it will be out in a few days, and that composer information will come out then. But I was just so excited to share this with you guys, and that Fly is one of my favorite tracks in the entire Yakuza slash Like a Dragon franchise. And though I prefer the original version, I feel like this arrangement has done a really good job of being faithful to the original and not changing too much. And that some of the added elements to this track, I find it a little interesting. So there's a little bit more of an electronic sound to it, even though it retains the very heavy guitars, and that it often just feels like it's super badass, but you also just have this feeling of a lot's at stake. And in context of the game itself, I mean, there is a lot that's at stake. And I'm not going to delve into the story too much, because I have played the original Yakuza 3, and that I'm really excited for Kiwami 3, despite a lot of controversy that's already been involved with the game. But pretty much you are Kazuma Kiryu, who, after stepping away from the Yakuza, he starts an orphanage in Okinawa and winds up having to deal with this gang that is there, and it winds up just escalating to a huge conspiracy involving the Japanese government and the CIA, and it's really crazy. That's all I'm going to say about that. This is definitely going to be something that I'm going to delve into a little more in the future. And don't be surprised if a then and now involving Yakuza 3 and Yakuza Kiwami 3 pops up. We're going to move on to our next track, and that this is also pretty fitting for the time, since the day of release of this episode is going to be the same day as the Super Bowl, which I like to jokingly refer to as the Superb Owl, and that I want to play this track from Tecmo Super Bowl. This is Season Game 2, and that this was composed by Rika, Shigeno, Keiji Yamagishi, Kaori Nakabai, and Hiroshi Miyazaki. That track that you just heard, that was Season Game 2 from the game Tecmo Super Bowl. It was composed by Rika Shigeno, Keiji Yamagishi, Kaori Nakabai, and Hiroshi Miyazaki. And that's going to just about do it for the show today. If you like what you've been listening to, have your friends check out the show on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify maybe. And you could also check us out on TerraPlayer, which is the home for various different video game and video game music podcasts. You can email the show at vgmjourney@yahoo.com, and you could also check us out on both X and Blue Sky at VGMJourney. We also have a Discord server for the show, which I'll provide a link for that in the show notes, where you can hang out with your fellow VGM journeymen and talk about games, music, and even look at some cool art. I'm also going to play things out with one more track, and that I'm going to double down on football music and just go out with a very interesting vocal track from Mutant Football League. The track is Mutant Football League Blues, and that this was composed by Brian Schmidt. Have a good one, everyone.
When I wanna play football, that game had upset. You're not gonna get all chainsaw now. You are not. Don't make me get all ginormous on you, you hear? Yeah, flame on, baby, flame on. He's on fire. No, he's actually on fire. You bribed the ref, I'll kill the ref. I'll play me some football. I'm so done with you, Madden.